Are you thinking about training for a 5K in time for Turkey Day? I know I'm going to be hosting a 5K Thanksgiving morning at Malibu Fitness.
It's a great tradition because then you go run the 5K and you can eat whatever you want. Taylor Bidmead, a manager at Fitness Together in Rocky Hill, is sharing 3 important stretches to help with your endurance training, or just what if you need to go from the couch to a 5K? Some people haven't run the 3.1 miles before.
Great question. So if you are somebody who has maybe had more of a sedentary lifestyle and you're not necessarily a runner, you should follow a different endurance program than people who are already active and going to the gym.
Okay.
So if you're somebody that isn't a constant runner and you might not be a gym goer, what you should do is you should start by walking and walk at your own pace, follow your breathing, and see how long your body is comfortable walking for. Okay. That's your starting distance.
Starting distance,
okay.
Right there. All right, so we got the chair, we got the mat, we got the whole thing.
Stretching is important, right? Because we can end up with painful things like shin splints, and then you'll just quit your training.
Yes, shin splints are awful. They feel like shards of glass right in the front of your shin.
I've had them. They're awful.
All right, so I'll have you sit on down in the chair, and I'll show you a stretch for your, it's called your tibialis anterior. There is a muscle on the front of your leg that when you get in and you break through those muscle fibers, that's when you get the lactic acid buildup. That's what you get shin splints. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring one leg over the other, make a 4 with your legs, and as best you can, we're going to push that knee down to the floor.
Or
nope,
here,
you're perfect. Cross your leg on over, and then we're going to push that top knee down to the floor. Then what I want you to do is I want you to grab your toes, and I want you to pull your toes all the way back towards perfect.
Like this.
So when you do this, it feels a lot more comfortable when you do it without shoes, so you can actually grab under your foot, push that knee down, and pull your foot back towards yourself. And you're actually going to get the stretch in the muscle in the front of your leg right here, which is where people will get shin splints. So that's the stretch you need to do to mitigate shin splints.
Okay, cool. And you should do this before every workout.
Yeah, before or after, whichever.
Okay, all right, great.
So let's assume that maybe you have jogged a little bit, but 3.1 miles sounds like the end of the earth. How do you get from just, oh, I went to the gym and I might run a little bit on the treadmill, but that's it?
Yeah, so your endurance training is going to be a little bit different, and what you need to start doing is sprints. So for sprints, that's something where you could do, sounds familiar, you do like a either telephone pole if you're somebody who likes to jog outside, run as fast as you can, and then walk the next telephone pole. Or if you're working on the treadmill, you can start with a sprint as fast as you can, see how long you can keep that pace up for. So for some people that might be 20 seconds, for some people that might be 45 seconds, but that's how you start to figure out how long is your sprint. And then when you bring it back down to your walking pace, you hold your walking pace until you feel ready to sprint again. So that's how you measure what your sprint time should be, whether it's 30 seconds or 1 minute on, 1 minute off.
And then you just keep building it, because you might not be able to sprint the whole 3 miles, but 3.1 miles, but you just keep building it? Like, okay, now I'm going to go double the running and shorten the walking?
Yeah, so when you do sprints like that, what you're doing is you're training your body to go a lot longer at a slower pace because you're building the muscles while sprinting. So sprinting is a really great way to build up the muscles that you need for endurance. That's why we call it endurance training.
What's the mat for?
So I have another stretch for you. It's so important, especially if you're a jogger, which if we're going for races, we need to do. It's for your hip flexors. So your hip flexors is part of your transverse abdominal, which attaches to your quad, which when it gets tight can start to pull your pelvis up. So you want to keep that nice and loose so that you can hold your core while you're running. So you're going to come down on the mat and hold your toes down flat against the floor. And what's important about this stretch that I see people do wrong all the time is you have to hold your upper body back. So shoulders back, chest up, and then you're going to lean in with the front leg so you get a stretch right through your hip flexor.
So like a typical runner stretch, but a lot of people are leaning over their knee. You're not supposed to do that.
And they're not actually pulling on their transverse until they get to this position, which is more of a quad stretch. So you actually want to hold it back, grab your hip, and push open on your hips.
So keep that posture going.
Yes.
All right, well, I didn't even know I had a hip flexor. Now I know. To learn more about Fitness Together or to book an appointment, visit fitnesstogether.com/Rocky Hill. The studio is located on New Britain Ave in Rocky Hill itself. Thanks you, Taylor.
Thank you.